Kane, your face is all over the news. Every cop in New York is outside looking for you right now. You can never show your face here again.
Yeah, well, I'll figure it out.
Do you have somewhere to go? Because you're going to need money.
I said I'll figure it out.
Kane being on the run, but where's he off to? Because his journey definitely doesn't feel so complete, which does leave the door open for him to not just return in a new power show, but maybe even lead his own. I do think Woody McClane is definitely capable, because in my opinion, he was one of the best, if not the best performers across 4 seasons of Ghost. I think with a character like Kane, because he's such a complex character, who added layers on top of layers throughout the seasons, not just because he had so many complex relationships with multiple characters, but because of where he began and who he wanted to become. They had to make sure they had the perfect fit for a character like Kane Tejada, and I think Woody McClane definitely nailed it. Him and Method Man definitely played their roles really well. I also think the evolution of a character like Kane Tejada definitely needs a deep dive, where we break it down piece by piece, season by season, looking at his relationships with not just his mother and the rest of the Tejadas, but also his enemies such as Tariq, the dynamic that he had with Braden, his love interest in Effie, and the various mentors that he had in the game, from Lorenzo, Mecca to Noma. Everyone played their part in the evolution of Kane, and the character that we saw at the end of Ghost Season 4, and that is something I will definitely put together, but an emotional Kane Tejada, his complex relationships, being family first, and being a wanted man on the run, that's the topic of discussion in today's video, as we break down some clues in regards to where Kane could potentially be heading and what could be in store for his character after the conclusion of this particular chapter of Power Book 2 Ghost Season 4. Now going into episode 10, it was always going to be an emotional roller coaster, not just for Kane and the Tejadas, but for everyone. Monet definitely left a mark on a lot of these characters in more ways than one, but of course, Kane was definitely going to feel it the most, especially because of what we learned in 409.
Be out here hurting kids. And when I couldn't protect myself, Monet is the only person, the only one that was there to protect me. All right? I'm never going against my mother.
Monet sacrificed herself to save her son, and for Kane to watch on as Noma and her brother killed his moms, while he had his hand tied behind his back, being unable to do anything, it would have been really tough for someone like Kane, who was a mama's boy. That was his mom dying right in front of him in one of the most brutal ways. So, he would have been going through a lot of emotions. Although he did make a very good move in a hell of a lot of gunfire. When bullets were kind of being sprayed, he actually kind of rocked his chair to fall on the ground to make himself a smaller target. It was actually very quick thinking in a situation where most people would probably panic. Now, a few days ago, Woody McClane also did an interview where he said the following: "You're gonna keep having me go at Tariq, and I don't know why I keep going after Tariq, so I had to make a story in my head to make me hate him. For me, I created this story where Kane was touched as a kid, and the only person that was there to protect him was his mom. That's why he's such a mama's boy. And then from there, Kane never knew the guy who touched him, but he remembers how he smelled. So, the first time he met Tariq, he smelled like that person. So, we're just kind of going back and forth, writing these layers and trying to make him a real person." So, that's from Woody McClane from an interview that he did a couple of days ago. And on his conflict with Tariq, I am glad that they kind of put this on the back burner, because it was kind of looking very obsessive from Kane's character. He seemed jealous and annoyed, and if they kind of continued with Kane going against Tariq, we'd know eventually there would have only been one winner, and it would have been St. Patrick, even though we all know Kane would kind of mop the floor with Tariq. So, I am glad they kind of swayed away from the Kane versus Tariq storyline. But, on his relationship with his moms, they certainly had a complex relationship, no doubt. She was always kind of tougher on Kane because she had to be. She always treated him different to Drew and Diana, and she definitely spoke down on him a lot.
"You know what, Kane? I don't know why I keep trying with you. Your dumbass is so fucking pussy whipped, you can't even fucking see straight."
But Monet was definitely beginning to change her ways, more so in season 4 because of what she went through in terms of her near-death experience. The flashbacks and also various conversations with Jeanette also helped, who is from Atlanta by the way. Again, I'm going to come back to that point in just a moment, but we had Monet kind of beginning to change her ways, and for the first time, speak to Kane with a lot more respect, allowing him to make his own decisions.
"But at the end of the day, we family. First, forever. Now, are you sure you want to do this, son?"
Previously we saw Monet telling these kids what they can and can't do, and at times, I actually kind of understood why she was so controlling. Just like Kane explained, the world can be a very fucked up place if you don't protect yourself, or if you don't have someone like Monet as a mother. Let's also not forget, All three of these kids missed their kind of fatherly figure for majority of their childhood. Sure, he was still around, but being in prison is definitely difficult to have the usual fatherly presence. That's why Monet had to step up and sometimes take control, because if she didn't, the moment characters like Zeke said he was going to stop listening to Monet and do his own thing, we all saw what happened. Of course, with this control you do have to kind of realize at some point, you're going to have to let these kids go and let them make their own decisions, because they're not kids anymore, they're full grown adults. And that's what Monet was doing, not just with Kane, but also Drew and Diana, but also protecting them at the same time, which I do think is the least that she should have done for everything that she did in the past. So, in terms of Monet's fate, I do think she went out exactly how she should have. But Kane was definitely in pain. He was in her room where everything was kind of just left as it was, smelling her fragrance, looking on at her earrings, which I do think she wore way back in her first appearance on Book 2 Ghost in 101.
What is going on out here?
Back up, back up, back up.
Damn, that's Monet.
Get inside, Zeke. Kane can handle himself, and you too valuable to the family.
However, they had to make the move to retaliate and get revenge. Monet's death had to be answered for, and Kane was the one who led the charge. He was the man being at the front, being family first, not just when they found Anya Covington, but also at the hangar.
Ain't no other way, all right? Listen to me for once, please. Don't get yourself shot. I gotta do this for Mom. All right, family first.
Now, he had to be the one to put an end to Noma, and this was actually a move that he learned from Mecca, just appearing out of nowhere.
Hey, man, you need to quit it with that ninja appearance shit you be doing.
Now, ironically, Noma actually turned into a federal informant right at the end to try and save herself. To make matters worse for herself, she turned into a snitch, just like Mecca. But after he dealt with Noma in terms of disappearing right after he took a few bullets, I did mention this is one which you kind of just have to go with the flow. I also put a little joke on X/Twitter after episode 10 and said, he must have had Harry Potter's invisibility cloak, because I have no idea how he kind of managed to disappear when there were kind of law enforcement crawling all over the place. But he came and did what he had to do. The job was to kind of make sure they got Noma, and that's exactly what he did, all while making sure Drew and Diana weren't harmed in the process. The definition of being family first, Mr. Stand on Business.
The money I've been saving for my co-term program.
Effie, I can't take your money.
How the fuck else are you gonna get out of here, Kane?
Now, as the dust settled, we saw Kane laying down on a bed in a motel room, recovering from all the bullets that he took. And it was no surprise, Effie was here, just like she was in 401. Alex Lepre also did the same interview as Woody McLean, and she said the following: I think Effie and Kane made more sense to me. We're kind of the same person in a few different ways. And I do kind of agree and kind of disagree with a few points. They're both characters who went through traumatic events when they were kids. They probably both feel like outcasts in their family, where they probably didn't feel much love, which is why Kane shows this love to Effie, or Effie shows this love to Kane. You can tell both of them have kind of longed for someone to care about them and be there for them, the way they've kind of been there for each other in season 4. Woody McLean also said he may kind of have this tough exterior and this tough persona, but deep down, he wants to be loved, and that's where Effie comes in.
Effie is always looking out for Effie. What happened to you? Do this one thing for Noma and you're off the hook.
Now, a lot has been said about Effie looking out for Effie. Tariq and Brayden said it in season 3, Kane said it earlier in season 1, and there's definitely kind of countless of examples to kind of back it up. Effie also kind of repeated it herself later on in season 4, because she was sick and tired of hearing it herself. But here she was, not looking out for herself for the first time, because of how much she actually cared for Kane. She wanted to make sure he had the best possible chance to escape, because being on the run, it's expensive as hell. So, she was here willing to give up on her dream to go to Stanford by giving him all the money that she'd saved, and in essence, putting herself back to square one. So, with that being said, where does Kane go from here? Where does he go next? Because he definitely can't stay in New York, that's for sure. Now, I'm not sure whether they kind of left a clue in regards to Kane potentially escaping to Atlanta. When he booked a private jet to lure Noma in at the hangar, the flights were booked for New York to Atlanta, which is where his aunt Jeanette is from. So, we know that Kane has family out in Atlanta in the form of Jeanette, and probably a few others. That might actually be a spot where he kind of goes to lay low for a while. But a character like Kane, he's not going to be happy to kind of just lay low. He's someone who's evolved over the years, and he'll still do what he needs to do in terms of being in the drug world, making sure he has respect. He'll want to be the leader of his own organization, and with the kind of actor that Woody McLean is, With what he's shown that he can do on screen on Power Book 2 Ghost, could it potentially lead to an Atlanta spin-off with Kane as the lead, or a show with Kane in a new city, maybe not Atlanta or somewhere else? They can kind of pick up from where they left off with his character at the end of Book 2 Ghost, give us this brief backstory of how he managed to escape New York, who helped nurse him back to full health, where he was laying low, and how he basically builds himself back up, brick by brick, in a new city with new players. I'm not sure about you guys, but that's something I really wouldn't mind seeing. Kane is a character who, like we said, has evolved. He's learned a lot from a lot of his mentors, Monet, Lorenzo, Mecca, and now also Noma in Season 4. And I do think it is about time we see Kane being the leader of his own organization, the leader that he thinks he can be. Compared to Season 1, he's a lot more strategic, he's smarter, he's not just all guns and muscle, there's definitely a lot more layers to his character. So, I for one really wouldn't mind seeing a Kane spin-off. Alternatively, he may even pop up in Chicago at the end of 4 Season 3. Who's to say the next Power show doesn't continue with Tariq and Kane in one show? At this moment in time, it's just kind of a guessing game. Did Tariq speak to Tommy? Is he on his way to Chicago? Could Kane potentially roll with him if Tommy needs a shooter? It really is a big guessing game at this minute until they kind of announce something official. But just like I said before, Gary Lennon is working on multiple spin-offs, keyword being multiple, and a Kane spin-off could definitely be something great because of how great Woody McClane is as an actor. So with that being said, let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Is the Kane spin-off something you guys would watch, where we see him building his empire in a new city? Drop all your thoughts down below in the comment section, and as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.